Alright, so we're doing part two of the collection update. Uh, I'm, when I last left off, I was talking about how I got these things alphabetical horror movies. So the next section is alphabetical horror movies, but it doesn't include those things that I kind of have as their own grouping, like all my Hammer stuff together, Universal, Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, they get their own section. Vincent Price, he has his own section. Any of the European Giallo, it has its own section. And then I've got a separate little section of cannibal and animal revenge type stuff. So other than all those, that's this section. So I think we started at the A's. So let's go ahead and start with this row here. Let me get these out. Shit. Shit. Probably have to clean these shelves while I'm doing this, but alright. First up, Alice with a Y Kills. Slasher movie. I'm not, it's been actually it's been maybe a year or two since I've watched this one. Alice Kills. This one doesn't. It's not having an immediate impact. I don't remember that one too much. All Through the House. This is a new slasher movie, Christmas slasher, that I did a separate review on that already. American Psycho. And a lot of people think this is one of the best slasher movies of all time. And I don't disagree, but
Christian Bale?
Yeah, Christian Bale was great in this. I do agree. And the 80s music is great in it. But there's a couple others that I think are better than this that that are in the collection I'll show off later. The Asphyx is a 70s horror film. A supernatural horror film about a kind of well, it's kind of a demon head, really. It's a little slow. All the Boys Love Mandy Lane. That's a recent 2000 slasher film. It's pretty good. I'd say it's a 6 out of 10, I think. I've got this, The Babadook.
I didn't like that.
You didn't like The Babadook?
Nope.
Yeah, this has got the little fold-out thing. I liked it alright. The Baby. Synapse Release. This is just a batshit crazy movie about a guy that's being raised by his mother, as still like a baby, and he's like 20-some years old. Strange stuff. The Barber, slasher, underrated slasher film. The Barber. Kind of a character study of a slasher. My Bloody Moon. This is probably Jess Franco's best slasher film. I think this came out, this is a Synapse. I think it came out in the 80s, early 80s. I love this one. Of course, I like anything Jess Franco. The Battery, which is getting a lot of airplay as one of the best zombie films in recent memory. Two guys get trapped in a car and they're chased by zombies. Then I got a Shout Factory or Scream Factory double feature of Bad Dreams and Visiting Hours. Visiting Hours is a hospital slasher film, kind of. The Beast Within. It's a great 80s horror movie. And this is a Scream Factory. Blood and Lace. Now this is an early slasher, proto-slasher film from the 70s. Blood and Lace. Very good movie. And here's the Vestron release of Blood Donner. This is I did a review, I think, of this. This is basically a sequel to Blood Feast. Herschel Gordon Lewis. Here's a really good slasher film, Bloody Birthday. Most of you guys probably have this copy. This is a Synapse release, Bloody Birthday, about some kids that are, well, kids that are slasher killers. Here is an MGM made-on-demand DVD. This is The Beast with Five Fingers. This is a Peter Lorre film. And I've got the Canadian release of Black Christmas, which is this is the Bob Clark classic. 10 out of 10. This is the one where the guy's making all the obscene phone calls. Agnes, it's me, Billy. The Black Waters of Echo's Pond. This sucked. This blows grits. John Carpenter's Body Bags. Good little horror anthology. Probably all of you guys got that. Arrow's release of Blood Rage. Great slasher Thanksgiving. It's not the cranberry sauce. Behind the Mask, Leslie Vernon. This is a great slasher. This is another kind of a character study slasher film. The Boogeyman. Uli Lamel film. This gets a lot of hate, but I like The Boogeyman. This is the slasher classics. And then I've got an old DVD of Boogeyman and Return of Boogeyman. Return of Boogeyman, there's only like 20 minutes of actual new footage. It's just a rehash of the first film. The Boogans. This is a really good monster movie from the 80s. Don't hear a lot of people talking about this one. Bone Tomahawk. Really, really good. Did you like Bone Tomahawk? Kurt Douglas. Kurt Russell goes to rescue.
Oh, I remember that one.
He runs into
it was pretty interesting.
Indians that are...
Yeah, I remember that.
They cut that guy in half, like they split him like a roast. Here's a double feature. Harvest of Fear and A Brush with Death. It's alright. The Burning. I've just got the Arrow release of this Burning, so I double dipped on that. I got the Cabin Fever, underrated director's cut of Cabin Fever. Cabin in the Woods. Kind of a monster movie with Jamie Lee Curtis having a cameo. I've got an out of print. I think this baby's out of print. Boarding House. This is the two disc deluxe edition. The uncut director's edition is like 2.5 hours long. Painful kind of a watch, but it's early 80s slasher film. Another slasher film. I think it's Rugger Diogato directing. It's an Italian. I think it's the Body Count. It's an Italian slasher film. At least it was directed by one Italian. Rugger, yeah, it's an Italian slasher film. Alright, let's see here. Now, for some reason, these came in. For some reason, these won't go back in. Alright. Black Christmas remake. Reboot. I actually like this. I just didn't like the fact that they had two killers. Here's the old original DVD Black Christmas. 2 copies of The Beast Within. I'll probably give those away at some point. And old midnight movies of Count Yorga. Love Count Yorga. Alright, the number one, well, I did a review of all the top 10 Dracula films. I think this is number 2. This is Luis Jordan and Count Dracula. This is the BBC. That's Frank Langella, Count Dracula. I'd say this is number, I want to say this is number 5. No blood or fangs, but it's a whole different take. I liked it. The guy that directed Saturday Night Fever did this. I have 3 copies of Jess Franco's Bram Stoker's Count Dracula, Christopher Lee. I got this one, I got the special edition, and then I got the Blu-ray. Does that make any sense at all?
No.
I have Cold Prey. Cold Prey 1. Cold Prey 2. Cold Prey 3. Those are some really good, I would say it's a Norwegian slasher film, winter slasher film. I got Basket Case. This is the old Blu-ray. And then I've got the Steel book of the trilogy of Basket Case. All 3 films in a Steel book. Alright. And finally on this row is the Arrow release of, that's all, looks like somebody's been chewing on that. Oh, it's like hell. Bloodbath. Early Roger Corman film. Arrow, this is a great release. The film's not so good, but it's a great release. Yeah, that cut, I mean, it looks like somebody's been chewing on the damn thing. Look at that. Alright. Now on to row 2. Alright, back to the Seas. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Got Back to the Seas. Candyman. Everybody loves Candyman. Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh. Candyman 3. It's kind of was running its course at this point. It's, probably didn't need to make that one. The Houses That October Built. This is kind of a found footage. Actually shot in Louisiana, if I recall, where they were going to a scare house. You know, one of those horror houses for October. The Changeling. I mean, anything with George C. Scott is awesome. Changeling. I have a Blu-ray copy of Carrie. Then I have, this is a collector's edition German release of Charlie's Farm. Really nice artwork on this bad boy, and a great book. Look at that thing. It's like 40 bucks. Cherry Falls, a pretty good slasher film. I think there's a Blu-ray out on this now. I'm not sure I like it enough to double dip though. Children of the Corn Blu-ray. And then I've got this Miramax Children of the Corn 6-film set. I also have the Arrow, the new Arrow that came out of Children of the Corn that I was going to show off. The old DVD of Chopping Mall. I've got the Vestron of that, but it's in the watch list. Class Reunion Massacre. Slasher film. Then I got the midnight double feature of Count Yorga and Return of Count Yorga. I've also got the Blu-ray of that. Wes Craven's Chiller. Very underrated Wes Craven movie. Paul Sorvino's in it. Citadel. I didn't like it. But Clown. That's a really, really good film. Clown. Eli Roth, I think. A Christmas Horror Story, which I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. It's an anthology that just bounced around too much. One of my favorite Christmas movies, Christmas Evil. This is probably number 2 behind Black Christmas. Peter Cushing and Corruption. This is I probably need to put this in the Hammer section, actually. But yeah, that's Peter Cushing. Actually, I'm going to move that to Hammer. Count Dracula's Great Love, Paul Naschy. This is a really nice release that just came out. That needs to go in the Euro section. Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski. An awesome movie. The Crazies, George Romero. The Crazies remake. Then I've got the original Collector. I think this was made in the 60s. Basically a guy that collects butterflies and women.
Nice combination.
Then I've got the, this is not a remake, but this is the Collector. Most of you guys know much about this Collector. And then the sequel to the Collector called The Collection. Alright, that's row 2. One more row for part 2. Alright, let's see here. Did you video me messing up? Right. Still on the Seas. Creep Show Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Creep Show 2 Blu-ray. I just got the Arrow release of that. Cry Wolf slasher film. 6 out of 10. Curtains, classic slasher film from Canada. Crypt of the Living Dead. This is one of my favorites from 1972. This is a great release. I think its alternate title is Young Hannah, Queen of Vampires. Yeah, this is Young Hannah, Queen of Vampires. Dark Hall, kind of a sci-fi IFC CGI fest. The Dead. This is a really good zombie film. This is one, The Dead and The Dead 2. We'll just talk about both those. One is shot on location in Africa and the other is in India. It's really good. Deadly Blessing. I like this as a very underrated Wes Craven film. Dead and Buried. Another classic 80s film. Death Spa. This is a cheesy slasher film with a lot of spandex and butt thongs and exercise. The Devils. This is a must-own. Oliver Reed is fantastic in this as a priest that basically the church believes he's the devil, and he's not. He's anything but. Well, this is an unbelievable film. 10 out of 10. The Descent. Arrow's release of Deranged. Really good, kind of a take on Ed Gein. Deep in the Darkness. This is actually a good horror film. Katarina's Theater. I've got The Devil's Men in Terror. Devil's Men with Donald Pleasance and Peter Cushing. Dismembering Christmas. I think I did a full review of that during the Christmas. Death Ship. Fun little 80s film about a ghost ship. Digging Up the Marrow. Good film. Dementia 13. This is a proto-slasher film. Francis Ford Coppola was involved in this as director. The Devil's Backbone. Of course, this is a Guillermo del Toro film. Part of that trilogy. This is a very good film. Kind of a ghost story. This is a Dr. Mordred. You know, it's a full moon film. I'm just not a big fan of full moon. Dr. Blood's Coffin. This is a classic 1960s, 1970s British horror film. And then this is one of my favorite independent directors is Al Adamson. This is Dr. Dracula. Low budget, independent stuff. This is a Katarina's Theater of release of Double Exposure. This is a giallo film. And then finally, the classic film, Criterion's release of Don't Look Now with Donald Sutherland. This is another must-own horror film. That does it for part 2. That takes you into the D's, and then part 3 we're going to do D through H. So I'm not sure when I'll get to it, but part 3 will be coming soon. Thanks for watching.